how do we break through the wall when a teammate has hit the wall?
Okay. If somebody can help me, today is a special session. Welcome to the Miracle Morning Mastermind. Today, it's a Saturday morning. I'm not out on my walk because my son is asleep in the other room and I don't leave him in the house. Um, and I don't send out a blast to everybody on Saturday morning. I like to see who's just that hungry to show up even on a Saturday morning. And then I like to really slow down and take questions. And so if you all can help me with some of the questions that were asked. Number one, we just heard about the brick wall, when somebody hits a brick wall. Another one was about closing tips. Like, what are some of the pro level closing tips that could cause a person to get started much sooner than later, like maybe even right there on the spot? And then another one was about how to maximize a Saturday. One of our slogans is that we never waste a weekend. So how do we maximize a weekend, on a Saturday specifically as well? And was there another one? I think those were the only three so far, right?
Yeah, Deidre had one, but she was gonna
She-
remember
she-
it.
She's
Yeah,
gonna remember.
I can't remember what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Here's another phrase, a powerful phrase. I'm about to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am about to remember it. Thank
There
you.
we
I'm
go.
about to remember it. Yes.
There we go.
That'll get it
Thank
going.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. And then post it in the chat when you get a chance. In fact, if you all can post those others in the chat. All right. So let's jump right in. So the first thing, let's talk about Saturdays. And I haven't prepared my answers to any of these questions, so it's going to be fun seeing what I pull off the mental shelf and what flows through. Um, so first of all, when I think of never waste a weekend, the first thing that comes to mind is to prepare in advance. The most ultimate use of time on the weekend and a very lost art or science is being in living rooms. Being in living rooms. So in the perfect world, in the network marketing business model, is the weekend people are off work, people are at home, people are more available than during the week because most people have a traditional job or traditional 9 to 5. And so traditionally in network marketing before the pandemic, that the people who got ahead the fastest, the biggest, and earned the most money, they were in 7 to 10 living rooms a weekend with groups of family members and friends coming together in the comfort of their home, having a launch parties. Think Tupperware party. Think, you know, what do
Mary
y'all
Kay.
call them? Yeah,
Mary
Mary Kay, Avon.
and
I've
Mary.
never seen any of those, but I've heard the stories. People getting together in living rooms. And that's it's a combination of, it's not a formal business presentation, people got to get dressed up and come to a hotel. It's more of an intimate. I actually think about Bill Gates. I think about Zuckerberg. I think about the stories we hear about these multi-billion-dollar organizations when they started with the inner circle and had a private meeting with the first round of people that were invited. This is the vision. We're about to launch something big. And before we take it to the public, I want to bring it to my closest friends and family and give you all a chance to come in on the ground floor. And, I hear the stories about the people coming together in the garage, you know, before the company was launched. And even the people who are multimillionaires and billionaires now saying, I'm so glad I opted in. And then all the stories we hear, people that were like, I was invited to that living room and I didn't see the vision, or I didn't believe that it was going to take off. and I didn't get started, and it's cost me millions of dollars or billions of dollars. But I think of it from that intimate space, that energy where you are getting to the people and giving the people closest to you first movers advantage, you know, and your new team members, you're getting into living rooms. There's only but so many family members and friends you have in your local area. And whatever that number is, if you have 10 family members and friends in your local area, you might only need 1 or 2 living room launches, and you're done. You're done being in living rooms for your friends and family and people that you feel comfortable having at your home. But the key is the only purpose to have a private business reception in a living room is to schedule more private business receptions for those in attendance. And here's a strategy. They don't have to join in order to get a group of people together for you. Remember that. Sometimes we get so caught up in the formal process that we forget that anybody who has access to people can bring people together for you. So with that in mind, never leave a presentation without scheduling another presentation is the mindset. So you got say 5-10 people in your living room. What if you could get half of them to schedule one that next weekend? Now, boom, you already booked up your next weekend in advance. That's the idea, is to keep that flow going. Who can get a group of people together for me to speak to this weekend, next weekend? So it starts with you deciding, how much of my weekend am I going to dedicate to personal and family time? And how much of my weekend am I going to dedicate towards launch time? Launch time. It's one of the biggest, most powerful ways to accelerate and speed up results that most people are totally missing out on. So living room time is number one. That's the number one activity that I would recommend to never waste a weekend. Second would be private Zoom calls. Inviting people virtually. But whatever's natural for a person, if everybody has a family, has friends, has a place that they live for the most part. So living rooms is number one. Some people are business professionals and they have clients come to their office or business people come to their office. So if that's already natural for them, who could they get together in their office for you to come speak with, right? Ministers have people come together at the church, for example. So if that's natural, how many groups of people can they get together at the church, right? And if there are people that you are connected with or they're connected with who, may not be close enough to come over to the home, well, how many people can you get together at a restaurant? It could be Panera Bread, but how many people can you get together at a restaurant? It doesn't have to be anything fancy or expensive, but to get people together in groups is the idea. And then remember, never leave a meeting without booking more meetings. Never leave an event without booking more events. Never leave a presentation without booking more presentations is the idea. So does that help, Dr. Mack? What'd you take away?
Oh, that definitely helps. The biggest one for me is to prepare in advance. Really just having something ready to go when you get up, and you don't spend so much time trying to figure out which direction am I going. And and that's the most frustrating piece for me, is like, what am I gonna do? And I'm scrolling through my phone and and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go take a nap. And that's kind of how it ends up.
Right, that exhaustion. Yeah,
yeah,
that
like
exhaustion can kick in.
So just preparing in advance and then getting into living rooms on the weekend. That part is huge, because I was just thinking, it's like, I know a lot. I'm on a speaking basis with a lot of my neighbors. And I'm like, I need to get everybody together from the block and just kind of have an event, maybe, welcome to the neighborhood knowledge. That's what came to mind. It's like, let's do some neighborhood knowledge. Tell me what you do. I'll tell you what I do. Let's talk, that kind of a thing. So just like you said, the smaller groups, not necessarily in my house. I'll probably end up doing it at the library or something like that because I don't really know the people, but they are in my neighborhood. So, but I'm just thinking, doing something like that on a weekend, maybe on a Sunday evening before our events start, when people are relaxing after their Sunday whatevers. Maybe something like that, maybe on a Saturday, planning it far enough in advance. But those are very good things. The private Zoom calls, what in that last piece was huge. Whatever is natural for a person. A lot of people are, I don't do phone calls. I don't like doing texting. Maybe they're, tech is not their thing, but getting them in their own comfort zone kind of a place will help facilitate moving them to the next level if that's where you're going to go. And it will make them feel more comfortable because they're like, oh, I can do this my way, instead of saying, oh, I got to learn how to do Zoom. I got to download stuff and upload. And, and that could be cringeworthy for some people. So thank you for sharing this. This is huge for me. And I'm definitely working to put these things in place as I continue forward. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Everybody unmute, make some noise for Dr. Carolyn Mack. Woo, woo,
Woo,
woo.
woo. Yes, Dr.
All
Mack.
right,
Mighty
Dr.
right.
Mack, that
Dr.
was
Go,
a
go,
Mack.
go,
that
go,
This is
go.
was
so
good.
good.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
It helped
So
me.
good. So a couple more things on that. So one, what comes natural for a person, but also remember, think of it this way. Everybody has family and friends. So the family friends list should be invited typically to the living room. Those who are not family and friends, or they live too far away to come to a living room, should be invited to a Zoom. So the way to think of this is not like just a one thing answer for every single person. Here's how I look at it. If Dr. Mack joins the team, I want to get an idea, how many friends and family do you have in the DC area where you live that would go on your living room invite list? Perfect. How many family members and friends do you have that are local, but you would not feel comfortable inviting them to your home? So out of all those people that they are local to her, but she wouldn't feel comfortable inviting them to their home, what locally can we invite them to? We can invite them to a restaurant. We can invite them to the Tuesday night presentation or Wednesday night presentation. We can invite them to the local luncheon. We can schedule a private luncheon or a private dinner or a private breakfast. You see, so if they're local, the number one goal would be to get together in person locally. This is the powerful mindset. I'm so glad you asked this question, Dr. Mack, because this is not talked about enough. So if they're local, use a local strategy whenever possible and get together in person, because nothing beats in person. And nothing builds momentum faster and builds culture faster, relationship faster, that dream team feeling, that, wow, I'm a part of a winning team faster, morale faster. You all saw the video clip that Letitia Randolph shared about what she's doing in person with Dr. Floyd and Miss Austin and the crew out there in Kansas City. In person trumps everything. The only reason why we use technology is to move from technology to touch, high tech to high touch. High tech is a major strategy. We can reach way more people faster, but we move from high tech to high touch, from technology to in person. from technology to community. That's the magical formula there. All right. And then for those who are out of state that are not local, then we're going to use long distance strategies. Like we're going to invite them to a Zoom. But remember, just we move from technology to touch. So even though we invite them to a Zoom, if you have team members, watch this, if you have team members in another city or state, get them to have living room presentations and you join in on Zoom. Get them to get people together, the business professionals, to invite people to their office in person, but you join in on Zoom if they're long distance and you're not able to fly in or ready to fly in, right? So they could still have in-person gatherings with their local contacts and you can support them virtually, but it's still building that local community. This is a major, major thing to implement as you scale from 0 to 6 figures and from 6 figures a year to 6 figures a month. All right, the other two questions, one was about hitting a wall and overcoming the wall, and the other one was about closing. All right, which one do I want to tackle first? Let's see. Let's talk about hitting the wall. Let's talk about hitting the wall and overcoming that. So what is a wall? Get Dr. Wiggins, give me a short example, what you had in mind. Would it describe in a couple sentences what that wall looks like or feels like for the person that you're describing?
Opposition, frustration,
Like,
opposition.
and what language would they be saying to themselves? Like, man, people keep telling me no. Give me the language that's going on.
The language in that person's mind is that I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of the rejection. I'm tired of the opposition. I'm tired of the disappointment. I thought or I assumed that it was going to go different, but my expectation has been unmet. So I'm dealing with a lot of frustration. So I can't go beyond where I'm thinking right now. That's the
Excellent. Excellent. And I want you all to pay attention to the process that I'm even going through to answer the question. So there's always language, self-talk, that goes with a wall for yourself and your team members. And I always like to identify the language. When I even feel myself struggling or stuck or feeling a certain way, I pause to examine what is the language that goes with these feelings. What am I saying to myself or hearing or thinking? And it's helpful to write it down. If it's disempowering, if it's something that's not positive, write it on the left side of a sheet of paper so that we can then examine the self-talk and create a solution on the right side. Now, always be aware that there's always two voices. Think about the old school cartoons like Bugs Bunny, where there's a little devil on the left shoulder whispering negative, disempowering things. And there's a little angel on the right shoulder whispering positive and empowering things. I love giving people that visual reminder because one of the biggest tools of this destruction of deception, one of the biggest tools of deception is for you not even to realize that deception is happening to begin with. So if you're not aware that deception is happening, then you attack the wrong enemy, like yourself. If you don't know who's hitting you, sometimes you're attacking the wrong enemy. What's wrong with me? Worst question to ask. Woo! So that's a weapon. That's a heat-seeking missile designed for destruction. And I used to ask that question, all this kind of stuff. I'm an expert on this. This is why I didn't want to be alive by 6 years old. The enemy tried to hit me with all of it early. And so I'm an expert. I know the tactics. God allowed me to experience all this stuff so I have this awareness of what's really happening behind the scenes. So we first identify all these lies. So when I hear a person use that type of language that Dr. Floyd just shared with me, I'm going to tell you the first thing, this is just off the top of my mind. The first thing that comes to my mind is, has this person tapped into their big purpose yet? The big purpose, their big promise. Notice I'm not starting with it doesn't start to me with what they're saying is the problem. The problem isn't the problem. Because if I'm in when I was driving my tiny BMW convertible, I could feel everything on the road. I could feel all the bumps in my tiny car that was low to the ground. The speed bumps, I felt every bit of those speed bumps, right? Because I'm in this tiny car. Now I'm driving my SUV, big X5 SUV BMW. I can roll over stuff that I would feel everything when I was in my little car, and I don't feel anything. I can roll over a speed bump almost and barely feel the speed bump. I can barely feel it. Y'all hear this? I can barely feel it because my vehicle is so big. The tire is so big. So when it comes to obstacles, sometimes we think the obstacle is the problem, and the obstacle is not the problem, because that same obstacle with a bigger vision, a bigger purpose, a bigger passion wouldn't even feel the same. Like rhinoceros skin. They don't feel all those birds. Don't you see all those birds on your back? Picking bugs off your back? Nope, don't even feel it. I got thick rhino skin. Can't even feel it. But when we got that thin baby skin, everything hurts. Everything hurts. So how do we get thicker skin? We get thicker skin by putting purpose before business. We get thicker skin by putting purpose before business. This topic I've been drilling these past couple weeks. When you put your purpose before business, ask them those 3 questions. Let's start over. Let's start over. Let's take a step back. Let's slow down so we can speed up for a second. Because right now we're just focused on activity. Excuse me. Right now they're focused on results. And when those results don't come, if you're so emotionally attached to the results, the fruit, and you don't see them, it's discouraging, not because of what's happening, but because of how we're seeing what's happening. Here's another principle. Perspective. Whew, perspective regulates pain. Ooh. Y'all can unmute. Don't hold that in.
Amazing.
Oh my
Man,
God.
man,
Oh my
Oh,
man.
heavens.
sweet
Perspective,
mother of pearl.
perspective regulates pain. So I've learned this in my life. Some of the most painful experiences I've ever had, and some of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had, when I step back out of the perspective that I was in, the emotion that I was in, and I step back outside of it so I could see it from a different angle, from a different point of view, I realized, here's my formula. 80% of the pain comes from my perspective. 20% comes from the actual situation. What?
Wow.
What if that was true?
Say
I found that to be true in my
that
life.
again. I'm sorry. Sorry.
80% of the pain and frustration I found comes from my perspective, and only 20% of the frustration or pain actually comes from the situation.
Mm.
So that means 80% of that pain is optional. I can reduce my pain and frustration by 80% just by shifting my perspective. Ms. Moore, you want to say something before I go further?
Jesus.
No, not I did because I wanted to compare it to something I had been through, and I was going to ask you, is that the same thing if it's similar? But that's okay. I
Let
don't.
me can I say something real quick?
Yes, sir.
Um, Tapping into years ago, program Roots came out. So my grandmother, she took us through our roots and what have you. Come to find out that I have some indigenous people inside of me from the Crow tribe. And as I tapped into their philosophy, some of their philosophy and mindset, one of the things that they were very good at, the indigenous people, the Wichita, uh, the Choctaw, and the Crow tribe, whenever pain would hit them, they refocused away from that area that originally appeared to be painful. And by changing their perspective to another area, they were able to handle what other people could not handle. They was able to withstand because whatever you focus on exemplifies itself because of your focus.
Mm.
So what you are saying, wow, wow. That's all I can say. Wow.
Dr. Mack, will you text me that perspective regulates pain? 80% of the pain is optional. Come, whatever I said. Thank you, Holy Spirit. All right, Ms. Moore.
Okay, I do have to go ahead and say what I was going to say.
Mm.
And you let me know if it. Okay, so a few years back, I was playing softball, and the sun blinded me to where I didn't catch a ball. My head caught the ball. So when my head caught the ball, it knocked me totally to the ground. My complete face whoa to where one of my eyes was completely closed. The other eye was barely open. And I was like, of course, I went to the hospital, no concussions. I did not even have a headache.
Mm.
And so every time I looked in the mirror, I saw my face so that 80% of perception, I couldn't look at what I literally saw. But the 20% of pain, I had to get beyond because I know what I was looking at in the mirror was not me.
Mm.
The pain again only lasted so long. And actually, I didn't even have any pain. But
Okay.
I could not focus on what I saw in the mirror because again, I knew that wasn't me. So that, I would ask God, I'd be like, Lord God, thank you so much for saving me from this. Even today, I'm like, so God, what did you knock me to? I don't even want to know. I know you knocked me to the ground because it was something in the atmosphere I wasn't supposed to be standing to get. I don't know what's in the atmosphere. I don't know what was out there. But again, today, I use it as, you know, God always covers me. And we all know God covers us and he gives us, if we listen to his voice, if we know what he has for us, if we know that he only has good for us, then we don't have to worry about the things that happen to us because those are only temporary moments. After I was out for probably about 6 months in that game. When I came back, I did come back because again, I know God covers fools, but I didn't think I was a fool because number one, God doesn't give us the spirit of fear. So they were like, "You're back? We didn't think you would ever come back." And so I'm like, you know what? It was my fault. The sun blinded me. okay, I'm back because God don't give me the spirit of fear. We basically won the championship. It was, stuff going on. But I finished the season. And sometimes I'm like, I know God, He gives us He gives us wisdom. And again, instead of me being outfield to play the game, they brought me infield. This like, okay, we're gonna bring you infield. And the only reason I didn't go back the next year, because how the Bible talks about your people always, they want to remember your past. They couldn't let it go what they saw happen to me. And if I can let it go, why can't you let it go? So the things that we deal with in this business, it's just a matter of, that's why a lot of things I'm like, next, forget that. Next, next. And even when I hear people talk about they don't want the no's, and I've been telling this to people lately, you get no's on your job. You get no's in your family. What's the difference between those no's and the no's you're getting here today? So that's some of the spiel that I have. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Everybody unmute, make some noise for Miss Laverne Moore. Whoop,
Whoop,
whoop.
whoop,
Woo-hoo.
whoop.
Woo-hoo,
That
Laverne.
was great,
Woo,
Laverne.
Miss Laverne.
Yes,
Yes.
tenacity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
And
that was
look,
great.
and those no's don't those no's that we get in our everyday life outside of this business don't pay millions of dollars.
At all.
Oh,
Not at all. No,
Those
they do
those
not.
no.
those no's don't set families free. Those no's don't fund
Mm.
life's work.
No.
And we're willing to take those no's.
Yep.
How much
Mm-hmm.
more of these? Here's what I got. Here's one of the things I got from Miss Moore's story. It looked far worse than it actually was.
Yes, exactly.
It looked
Mm-hmm.
far worse than it actually is. So stop staring at that.
Mm.
Yes.
And that's what she did. Like, I'm not going to keep looking in this mirror because I was feeling fine until I looked in the
Till I
mirror.
looked in the mirror. Mm-hmm.
I was feeling fine until I looked in the mirror. So stop looking in the mirror. Okay. So, all right. So this was just warm up to answering that question, y'all. So here we go. So perspective. Here's the other quote out there. pain, pain sometimes is necessary, but suffering is optional. And the optional suffering is the 80% I'm talking about. Opt out. Opt out of that. There's a situation that's happening, and then there's the story I'm telling myself about the situation that's happening.
Yes.
So I was at the grocery store. I think I told this story the other day. I was at the grocery store in La Jolla, and I'm not used to this grocery store setup. Like, there was no conveyor belt to put your groceries on. It was a very thin line. All the lanes were close together. I couldn't even tell what side I was supposed to be on. And I couldn't tell what lane was open, and it was just very confusing to me. And I had a lot going on. I had a phone call in my ear. So I was asking for assistance, and I asked the question, "Are you open?" And the lady said, what did she say? She snapped at me and said, obviously.
Uh, mm.
Obviously.
Mm.
And now that's the fact about what happened. Now, how many different stories can I tell myself about what was happening? The fact is, the lady snapped at me. It didn't feel pleasant for me. Period. That's the 20%. Now watch me magnify it. Oh, this was racially motivated. Or why she get an attitude with me? Is she prejudiced? I can add all kinds of stories to take it from 20% to 100%. Somebody could have just passed away and she could have just got the text message. She could be going through something physically, chemically, emotionally. It could be anything. So watch this, that little devil on my left shoulder was telling me all kinds of stories. Oh, no, she
Wow.
didn't. You're not going to let her talk to you like that. Oh, da, 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 da. The little devil instigating. How fast could I go from 0 to 60 if I didn't understand what we're talking about right now? I paused. I took a deep breath. I smiled. I understood the dynamic because after that, she said, yeah, you just put your stuff on this little thing and go on to the right. I think it was a Vons. No, it wasn't even a Vons. It was a specialty grocery store. And then once I understood the dynamic, I looked over and I saw a smiling lady at the other register. There were like 3, 4 people behind me. And I'm just standing there for a second. And I just smiled and walked over to the other lane. And as I was walking over, I'm hearing the little devil on this one shoulder telling me all these stories and instigating. And then I'm hearing the voice of truth on the other side saying, pray for that lady. So I prayed for her, got in the other line, brushed it off, didn't take any of it personal, because it has absolutely nothing to do with me. Whatever she was dealing with had nothing to do with me.
Oh
And
man.
I moved over to the other lane, had a pleasant conversation with the other person, and moved on to my day without any residual anger or bitterness or resentment that could have robbed me all day long.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Because guess
Yes.
what? Because guess
Yes.
what? I remembered it all day long. It kept coming back to my remembrance, but how I allowed it to affect me, I was able to regulate. Because all day long, that little devil was still trying to whisper, no, she didn't.
You should have told her something, right?
Right. So, all right, let's bring it full circle back to the root of the question. How do you help someone who's hit a wall? How do you help somebody who's hit a wall get past the wall? So one, I'm giving you all my thought process. But number two, the first thing I shared earlier is let's help them step back. Like let's step back from the activity and the results or the lack thereof, and let's refocus on the big picture. The big picture, purpose before business. Let's answer those 3 questions. What do you need to fund your family, lifestyle, and legacy the way you truly desire? How much do you need to earn per year? Question number 2, if you can only solve one problem in this world as your life's work, what would that one problem be that you're helping to solve in the one group of people that you're helping to serve? Purpose. Purpose. Number 3, how much funding do you require minimum in order to fund that life's work the way you truly desire per year? How much per year? You see, we're taking a step back from the work and looking up at the purpose. Where are we going again? Let's recalibrate. Sometimes we can lose sight of the big picture and get so caught up in the activity and the work that we lose sight of where we're going. And if the promise isn't clear, the price is too hard. Jim Rohn taught us that. If the promise is not clear, any price is too hard. But if the promise is clear, when the promise becomes clear, the price becomes easy. So my first answer is to help them tap into the big promise. This is why it's dream, commit, launch, not commit, launch, and then dream. Don't put the work before the worthiness of the work. I need to have a stronger reason for what I'm doing in order to endure the process. If the promise is, man, we get to go to Disneyland. Which one is Florida? World. Okay,
Disney World.
Disneyland is
Mhm.
okay. Disney World is Florida. So I'm in Sacramento, California. I drove down to Anaheim the other day. It's about 6.5 hours down and 8.5 hours home. But if the promise is to go to Disneyland and everybody's excited about it in the vehicle, this is where we're going. We're going to Disney. We're going to Disney. And the tire goes flat along the way. Frustrating. Jerome would say, fascinating. Learn the term frustration and the fascination. Now, if we forget where we're going and why we're going, we can focus all of our perspective on the fact that the tire, we can get so caught up in the fact that the tire went flat and why it went flat. I just bought this tire. Da, da, da. Oh, how much is this going to cost? Oh, how late are we going to be? Oh my gosh. Da, da, da. We could get so caught up in it that we destroy all the joy of the journey that we're going to Disney. Or we can get so focused on where we're going. That's all right. This little tire went flat. That's all right. Everything happens for a reason. And it's not always God doing stuff to me. I don't believe that. Sometimes we're like, why did God do this to me? I don't believe God does everything. Don't forget there's two spiritual forces. Like, don't blame everything on God. Like sometimes God allows certain
That.
things. Sometimes God does orchestrate certain things. Sometimes he allows certain things. And sometimes we cause things. Sometimes we step out of alignment and we cause things, or we make certain choices that come with there's spiritual laws and natural laws. Sometimes it's not all super spiritual. Sometimes it's just natural laws, cause and
That
effect.
that nail was natural.
Right,
That
right,
nail was
right,
natural.
right. It's a nail in the freeway.
Look at protecting
That's
you
why.
from something ahead. Yeah.
Right. So whatever it is, though, perspective. I'm just tying this back in. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. Like, okay, the tire went out. Hey, we're not letting that steal our joy. We're going to Disney. We're about to have the best time of our lives. We're going to clean up the thing. Everything happens for a purpose. All things work together for my good because I love the Lord and I'm called according to his purpose. So let's keep it moving. Oh, we're probably going to meet somebody. I'm going to use it as, no matter why it happened, I'm going to use it as an opportunity for something good. I'm going to look for the good in it. And every adversity that lies within it, the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Think and Grow Rich 101. In every adversity, there lies within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So never take the adversity without receiving your reward. This is one of my principles. Never take an adversity without receiving a reward. What does that mean? The person Dr. Floyd is describing is going through adversity. And they don't realize that in every adversity, or they don't believe it yet. I choose to believe it. In every adversity, there lies within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. If that's true, and it is, according to my faith, why would I ever accept adversity and walk away with the adversity and never get my payout? Never get my reward. If somebody slips and falls at a hospital due to negligence on the hospital's part, they're gonna sue the hospital. Like, they're gonna probably get their reward. Now, I want to be compensated for the pain and suffering and the damages that were caused. Have that same mindset when it comes to adversity. If I'm gonna take a hit, I'm getting a payoff. So I'm not gonna quit. There's a reward behind this that's equal or greater. In fact, as I'm talking right now, I kind of feel like that's part of God's compensation plan. You're going to do something to one of my kids, you're going to pay for it. And with interest. So when I take a hit, I'm not going to quit moving forward towards my purpose, first of all, for no reason. If I do, that means I never had a purpose that was strong enough in the first place. So that's why I keep going back to that purpose before business. Number two, maybe I didn't commit to that purpose, if I'm saying this purpose is so worth it, then why am I even talking about or thinking about quitting? Let's just get that out of our vocabulary. So we're having this coaching conversation with that person. Before we ever get to the thing that is happening, let's get focused on the big picture, right? So next we got the desire that goes with the purpose. We've got perspective around it. We've got the how do we get thicker skin? That was the question earlier. How do we get more rhino skin? By realizing that there will be adversity. Sometimes people are hurt because they didn't realize there was going to be adversity. We let them think that everything was going to be easy. And so part of helping people get thicker skin is called inoculation. Giving them a little taste of what's possible, but so that they're not shocked when it happens. Look, there is going to be some adversity. And when it happens, not if it happens, when it happens, let's remember that in all adversity, there lies within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. When it happens, let's go ahead and immediately look for it. This is why it's important that we practice what we talked about a couple of weeks ago and dip, baby, dip. When you're dipping to your team, for those who don't remember that communication lesson, inside of the resource center, when you click goal achievement at our team website or BornCEO.com/resources, there's a button that says something like how to tell your story. And it talks about how to dip. You start with credibility. Like, what is the result that your audience is seeking that you've already accomplished? So you start strong with that. This was taught to me by the great Lisa Nichols. I participated in one of her $50,000 masterminds. And one of the things she helped us to learn and understand is the power of the dip. And that dip is, in my ABC breakdown, you start with the credibility, which you've accomplished, that your audience that you're targeting is seeking to accomplish. And now, if you don't dip down, it sounds like you're just bragging. But you dip down and let them know you weren't just born there. Like, that's not where you started from. It wasn't always that way. And you share where you came from, like one of your lowest moments. And when you're dipping to your team, part of that is being transparent with them enough to share, like, yes, this is where I am now, but it didn't come without adversity. And share some of the things that you've gone through. You might even share somebody else's story. If you're brand new, you might share mine. Here, yeah, coach is here now, da da da. But what you don't know is some of the things he's had to overcome along the way that he shared with us. And that's a dip, right? And then you share the epiphany and mission. That's C. So A is the credibility. B is the vulnerability. And C is the epiphany and mission. The epiphany that led to transformation and your new mission. That's the best I can describe the dip. That made it clearer than the way it was taught to me, getting my mind around it. So you got your credibility. This is what has been accomplished already that you all want to accomplish. And I can show you how to do it. B, vulnerability. But this was one of the lowest points, the emotion. This is where I came from. This is what I had to overcome. And then C, the epiphany. But then one day I discovered something and everything changed. And that's why I'm on this amazing mission to help other people, blah, 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 blah. Ooh, people have raised billions of dollars, millions of dollars, dipping effectively. She launched a company and took it public by dipping effectively. I had my first $70,000 month when I learned to dip effectively to the right audience with the right dip. And so that's how you move people with authenticity, transparency, but it's power and humility at the same time. Okay. And so prepare your associate that once you get that vision clear, that passion, that big purpose, that big desire out of them, and make sure that it's worth it. And if it's not worth, is it worth going through the obstacles? Is it worth, this is the conversation. Is that vision worth those little bumps in the road, the little tire going flat, the obstacles that are going to come? And if the answer is no, we need to start back at ground zero and find a vision or mission that is worth it for them. And then equip them for the dip in their own journey and let them know, that was good, equip for the dip. And let them know that there will be some obstacles along the way, but will it be worth it? And remind them that everything worthwhile that they've ever accomplished, there were some obstacles along the way. Maybe they've given birth to a child. And the joy, like, was there pain? Were there challenges? But was it worth it? Maybe they graduated from high school or college. Were there challenges and obstacles? Maybe they really wanted to ask them, help them connect with something that they really wanted, that they actually accomplished. And the obstacles, were there obstacles along the way, and was it worth it? And then help them find that here. And then when the promise is clear, the price becomes easy. Was that helpful, Dr. Floyd?
Yes, sir. All of that. All of that and more. Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
Let's make some noise for Dr. Floyd Wiggins III. Whoop, whoop.
Yes, Dr.
All right,
Floyd.
Dr.
Woo-hoo.
Floyd.
All
Way
right,
to
Dr.
Awesome
go.
Floyd
coach.
Thank you,
Wiggins.
Awesome
Coach.
coach.
Wow.
2 weeks together.
All right, the last one is about closing. Closing. And Ms. Moore asked a powerful question. She said, is there one phrase or one sentence that could be said if somebody was the right, I pre-qualified as the right type of person? Is there one phrase, one question I could ask that would make them sign up on the spot? And no one phrase or one question came to mind, but some concepts about pro-level closing strategies came to mind, and just some principles. And when I'm talking about closing strategies, I'm not talking about manipulation or getting somebody to do something that's not in their best interest, obviously. But I'm talking about helping to lead a person. First of all, this is part of the coaching already. When it comes to closing, to me, closing is nothing more than leading. We're leading. And as people of integrity, we would never lead someone to something that wasn't in their best interest. This is my perspective of selling with integrity, closing with integrity, selling, persuading with integrity. All of it is leading. Selling is leadership. Closing is leadership. And so leading with integrity, closing with integrity is leading a person to a decision that's in their best interest based on what they truly desire or need. Based on what they truly desire or need. That framework, approaching selling or closing or leading or influencing or persuading from that perspective alone can increase many people's closing ratio. Because I know the type of people in this group. I know the type of people that I attract. I know the type of people that we attract in this environment. So I know that you have a good heart already. And that alone, connecting to the fact that you're leading a person only, you're only leading people to something in their best interest, that alone will give you another level of passion and coming from a place of service, not coming from a place of what am I getting out of this person making this decision only. Of course, it's going to be a win-win in many cases. There's something in it for them, there's something in it for you. But if it's all about you, most of you won't even feel right because we're focusing on this. That selfish lens is not going to do it. So part of what I'm saying is get crystal clear on what is truly in this person's best interest. And if what you're wanting them to do is not truly in their best interest and it's only in your best interest, let up off it. Like there's too many ways to serve people in the way that their true best interest that also can benefit you and help you, that can be a win-win, to be doing something that's a win-lose. So that's the first thing, the foundation. Next thing that comes to my mind, because I used to be I used to be anti-sales, y'all. This sounds crazy. I was anti-sales because I saw too much manipulation. I didn't run for office. People wanted me to run for office like student government. I didn't run because it was distasteful in my mind to try to sell people on who I am and what I can do and all these promises and stuff. I had some unhealthy perspectives about sales. It was coming from a good place, I thought, but I had some unhealthy perspective that made me not want to sell myself. And then over time, I read a book by T. Harv Eker called Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. It's on Audible, it's on YouTube. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. And he has something in there called the Wealth Files. And there's a part in there where he said something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said to me, because he wrote the whole book just for me, right? He said to me, the reason why you don't want to sell yourself is because you're arrogant. I said, wait, say what?
Ouch.
Huh? I'm arrogant. What do you mean by that? And he was breaking down how, like, you like something like you think too highly of yourself or whatever. I don't remember how he said it, but it hit me. And it made me rethink my perspective about selling myself. And I realized that selling is serving. Closing is serving. Persuasion is serving. And one of the big things on my spirit right now is you better believe people with the wrong agenda are always selling. They're always persuading. They're always doing this. And then if I'm sitting back complaining about the corruption happening around me, because I'm allowing other people with the wrong agenda to outsell me. I've been given the right heart, the right agenda, the right spirit, but I refuse to sell that. But I'll let other people with the wrong agenda, with impure intentions, selfish desires, do a better job at selling, persuading, influencing. How can I complain about the problem if I'm not making myself a part of the solution? Isn't that a different perspective on selling, closing, leading, influencing, persuading? So it's serving. So with that, I now realize I have a responsibility to become an effective communicator. I have a responsibility as a man of God, as a man of integrity, as a man of good values, as a leader, as a purpose-driven person, I have a responsibility to persuade effectively people to the right agenda, to persuade, to lead the people, to serve the sheep, to lead the sheep, to guide the sheep, to protect the sheep, to protect the flock, to guide. And if I don't do a good job, you better believe that little devil on the left shoulder is going to do their job. So that being said, closing real quick. The great Dave Savola, he was the #1 money earner in the company before Brian Carruthers. And his family's earned over $40 million from Legal Shield. Like him, he earned over $40 million for his family in Legal Shield. And his mindset was, when he sat down with a person, first of all, remember that people are either moving, it's two things to look for. And get the book I recommended the other day. It's called Copywriting Secrets. COPYWRITING. Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. Copywriting. Study copywriting. Copywriting is the skill of marketing language, using the right language that captures people. But there's two basic desires, two basic things. People either moving towards a desire, they want to move towards a desire or away from a pain. So everything, when you're going to lead somebody, always remember, always ask yourself, what is the desire that this person wants to move towards? What are the deep desires that they want to move towards, plural? And what are the pains that they want to move away from? So I may not have a one power question or sentence that would make somebody enroll, but there's a series of questions. I need to find out, what desires does this person want to move towards, and what pains do they want to move away from? And then I'm going to make them an irresistible offer that they couldn't say no to. I'm giving you some questions. So question number 1, what desires, a list of desires this person wants to move towards. Question number 2, a list of pain that this person wants to move away from. Like they truly want to. It has to be a real desire and a real pain, or whatever you say is not going to move them. Question number 3, what irresistible offer could I give them that they couldn't resist saying yes to? They couldn't resist saying yes to. And like, how can I present it? Number 4, what are all the reasons this person might say no to something they truly desire? Like, what fears, what questions, what objections? And how can I overcome all of those objections? So what do we say? 1, what are all the desires that this person wants to move towards as it relates to this topic? Number 2, what are all the pains that they want to move away from or related to this topic? Number 3, what irresistible offer could I give them that they couldn't say no to? Number 4, what could cause them to say no, even though they really want it? And number 5, how can I overcome that list of all the reasons they would say no to something that they truly do desire? Oh man, you answer those 5 questions. I need to write these down. If somebody wrote that down, send it to me, because this is a whole master class. You answer those 5 questions effectively, you're going to be a closing machine. And people be like, oh, you make me sick, as they write that check, smiling, loving to buy from you, because they really did desire that. They really did want to move away from that pain, but something was keeping them from something good. And you helped lead them through it mentally and emotionally. You served them at the highest level. Listen to the old audio by Grant Cardone called Be Obsessed or Be Averaged. Be Average. No, not that one. Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Sell or Be Sold, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Um, it'll elaborate on what I'm coming from, but I'm gonna have to do a video on those five questions of a master closer. I just named it. 5 questions of a master closer. But I'm telling you, when you start doing that work, first of all, you've earned it. Some people are too lazy, and then they wonder why their closing ratio is so low. And then somebody else has a high closing ratio. The other person is willing. Who served more? The person who just wants to get a quick answer from a person, and they're not willing to do the research to answer those 5 questions and prepare to actually serve that person on the highest level, or the person who actually takes the time to listen, to interview, to get to truly understand that person and their needs and their desires and their challenges and the fears and the emotions that keep them from moving forward with the very thing that they deserve and desire and is best for them. But for some reason, they're not choosing what's best for them until the right person comes along that was willing to serve them before, during, and after that process. You just serve that person at the highest level. Yes, it's more work, but that's why you get paid the big bucks, and that's why you get the big results. Woo. So I'm going to do a training called the 5 questions, 5 secrets of a master closer. Woo. That was, thank you, Lord. Miss Moore.
Oh my God, this was so good. Look, I should have already been left. And I'm like, I can't leave because I don't want to miss a note that I'm taking. I love, love, love everything that you said on this call. The closings, oh my God, those 5 things, what it does for me. And I'm so excited and emotional at the same time because, you come across people that want to do it, but no, I don't have the money. And when you hear their stories, I could give them all the stories in the world of people that are doing it. But those 5 things helps me to be able to carve the conversation that I'm going to have with these people now. And that, I mean, I just love just to be able to, find out what their desires are, but their desires in more detail now to get them to talk about their pain. And then once they go through those, again, those 5 questions going to help me to carve the type of conversation that I have with people. And as I listen and as I, you know, talk and take those objections, it will help me to be able to close them to whether I can say, oh, I'm so excited about what you're going to do. And they actually do it because of the conversation and the trust that they have in me now. Using also one of the key phrases that Dr. Sonia Lowe says all the time is allow me to help you. If you allow me to help you with these 5 things, I can help you through it, but you have to allow me to be able to do that. So again, I'm just so excited about everything you said this morning. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Let's go make some noise for next executive, Miss Laverne Moore. Woo woo.
All right, Miss
Woo-hoo.
Laverne, let's go.
Go ahead, girl.
All right. So y'all know sometimes on Saturdays I'll give y'all some extra bonus time. Our time is up. Let's go, family. Let's go serve on a higher level today. There's so many people out there that are in need of a leader to show up and lead them to what's in their best interest. You have the answers, you have the resources, but most importantly, you have the heart. You have the right heart, you have the right spirit. You are not going to do wrong by them. You are the trusted advisor. You don't want them going somewhere else. If you don't serve them, if you don't sell them, they're going to be sold by somebody else that is not the right person, that does not have their best interest in heart. So let's go serve on a higher level. Let's make it happen. ED equals?
Every day.
Every day.
What time is it?
Ring
Ring
time.
time.
Next stop.
Platinum.
Platinum.
Love y'all. Have a
Right.
great weekend. Let's
All
Love
crush
you
it.
right,
back.
let's
Bye.
All
go.
right, everyone have a blessed
Bye.
day. Excellent, coach. Excellent.
Awesome,
Yes,
coach.
indeed.
Great.
Excellent. He outdid
Thanks,
himself today.